coming out, best audience. Today, I will be talking about the split personality within Ingeborg Bachmann's 1971 novel, Malina. So there's a couple things I'll be talking about. First, I'll define the split personality within this work. I will talk about the normalcy, or the seeming normalcy within the reader, the aggressiveness of the relationship in the split, and then finally the triumph at the end. So first, defining the split. While it's common in works of literature to have multiple viewpoints, this one functions in a unique way. When you consider Harry Potter or any other books, there's different perspectives in different chapters sometimes. One character will narrate a chapter, and in the next chapter, another character will narrate. But what's unique about this book is there's multiple viewpoints and narrations from one character's, not perspective, but just from one character. She kind of has this split personality, and I feel that this kind of dichotomizes the feminine and masculine aspects of her. She exists in her normal feminine self, but when she disassociates, the masculine element named Malina comes to play, and he tends to be aggressive or controlling or protective, and he plays out typically masculine elements. Now, at the beginning, this character seems completely normal. She's not named, she's just the narrator. She has a romantic relationship with a man named Ivan. She is a successful author, she has an assistant, she has a career, and she seems very normal. But this, we kind of see the tip of the iceberg of what's really going on when she goes to a lecture, and she's hearing a lecture about art, and she's standing there, and later she bumps into the speaker, who is Malina. And he says to her, "Verzeihung," which means, "excuse me, pardon me," and she starts crying, which is very odd, and we wonder, why is she crying, what's going on here? And right after this is when it really starts to play out. That's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg, and then we really get to know and get to understand what's really going on with this character. So there's a lot of aggressiveness that plays out with this split personality. As we see within her, and we get to know her more, we see that she has a lot of familial anxiety. She has this dream or nightmare which kind of serves as a flashback to us, and we get to see her family. She has a sister, a mom, and a dad, but there is something really terrible and gruesome going on. We're not sure if it's like incest or rape. There's something very gruesome, which nobody would want to dream about or remember, and she kind of feels the need to protect her sister and her mom and kind of escape that. But it's a nightmare, and she wakes up, and she's screaming, but no one hears. So it's this terrible situation, but then she's saved by Malina. Comes in, very protective, and he says, "Shh, it's okay, don't worry, I've got you." And it's very calming for her. So there's the storm, and then it's calmed by Malina. So there's the negative, and then there's the positive with Malina. But moving on, as this becomes more and more aggressive, there's a finality at the end where Malina is on the phone, and he's talking, and he says, "Hier ist keine Frau." There's no woman here, there never has been, there's only me, Malina. It's very one-sided, because we only hear his conversation on the phone. We don't hear anybody that Malina is talking to. It's very final, there's no room to question this. There's only Malina, there's never been a woman here, the end. So you're kind of left with this haunting one-sided conversation that Malina has triumphed or won out of the two personalities, out of the conflict. Now, I think there are two reasons for the split, both emotional and authorial. So starting with the emotional reasoning for the split, I feel that the character probably has a sort of dissociative identity disorder. Obviously, I'm not equipped to define that or label that, but I feel that she does have some multiple personality conflicts within herself. Another possible reason is that she might be transgender. Perhaps she was born as a female, and she identifies more with the aspects assigned to masculinity in society. We don't really know. The reason that I personally think is that as a child, growing up in this turbulent and awful household, is that when she was a girl, she was kind of at the receiving end of this violence from her father and within her family. And perhaps she wants to become sort of masculine or thinks of herself as a man. That way she feels safe or protected, or she can protect others more easily. And I think it just gives her this sense of security. We're not sure. So moving on to the authorial reasoning for the split, however, there are two really main reasons for the authorial split. It drives the plot of the book, first and foremost. If it was just the narrator, she would have this perfect life, she's in a relationship, she's an author, everything's fine. But when we break the tip of the iceberg, like I said earlier, we start to realize all the things that are going on with her. We see that everything is more chaotic. And there's this kind of argument or chase between her and Malina, what's gonna happen? And we keep wanting to figure out what's going on until finally at the end, Malina wins, so to say. This book, I feel, also brings into the question the reliability of narrators as a whole. While it's true that every narrator is unreliable, I feel that this book really brings into question that, and it really highlights that aspect. If you think back to Harry Potter, think of all the things Harry doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know about Snape, he doesn't know about Dumbledore. He's kind of clueless as a character. And as a result, we don't know what's going on because we're limited to Harry's perspective. And that goes within this book as well. We are limited to the narrator's perspective. She refers to herself as I, and the only third person we see is with Malina. Malina's never mentioned with another character, he never has the conversation with another character, and he's only there alone with the narrator. He's never the presence of others. So we don't even know if Malina exists, actually, within this book, which is why it's so haunting to hear that he wins at the end, because we don't even know if he exists or if he's there to win. It's just sort of within this narrator's mind, and that's all we get, that's what we're limited to, because that's all we can see in this book. So I feel that this book really has two reasons for the split between here. The questioning of the narrator, and it drives the plot of the book. It's sort of a third function that this book creates is a disjoint, not only between the narrator and Malina, but between the reader. Because we want to learn more about Malina, the narrator. We want to know about her past and what's been going on and what created these horrible nightmares for her. But as soon as we hear about it and we want to find out more, Malina comes and saves her, and that's the end. We don't get to hear about it. So I think as we get more and more involved and we want to learn more, we experience more of a disjoint because we don't ever get to find out. There's just Malina. And then finally, at the end, Malina wins, and we're left with completely never knowing what went on with this female character because she's not even there to answer our questions. So I think that this book is unique in that way, with the disjoint between the reader and the two narrator characters. It's unique with the disjoint between the two characters. And I think the final way that it's unique is that it really forces one to step into the shoes of a person with such a mental disorder, which I think is not so common in literature, unfortunately. And it was pretty progressive for its time. It was written in 1971, and I don't think I could name really any other books that function as this. So that is the end of my presentation, and thank you for your time.